It's only been a week since the last news update, but I've got a lot of breaking news that authors need to know. Draft2Digital just made major changes, including a new account maintenance fee, and authors are upset. Barnes & Noble Press is rolling out a new minimum price for print books and changing policies that could affect what you publish. Bookvault announced a temporary increase in shipping fees. The Alliance of Independent Authors podcast shared best practices for KDP account terminations, and Apple Books for Authors rolled out a few updates worth mentioning. All that and more in the self-publishing news for April the 16th of 2026. Starting out, very first thing, if you're self-publishing, you know the drill. You write the book, build the cover, format the interior, design the A+ content, make social graphics, usually across 3 or 4 tools and a freelancer tool. That's one reason I keep coming back to my preferred cloud-based writing software, Dibbly Create. Lately, the feature I keep geeking out over is Design Studio. I can build covers, full paperback wraps with a spine and bleed already mapped out, A+ content, social media graphics, and even YouTube thumbnails, all in the same place as my manuscript. That kind of setup saves time, cuts down the hassle, and keeps me from bouncing around from tool to tool just to get one book ready for market. Instead of piecing everything together across a bunch of platforms, I can handle a big chunk of the design work right inside Dibbly Create. Now, if you're ready to consolidate your stack, check out Dibbly Create when you visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/dibblycreate. All right, let's go ahead and move over into the very first piece of news here, Draft2Digital. Oh goodness, the aggregate publishing platform Draft2Digital just changed the rules, and a whole lot of authors are not happy about it. New accounts now face a one-time $20 activation fee, and accounts earning less than $100 in net proceeds over the prior 12 months can be charged a $12 annual maintenance fee starting May 14th of 2026. Now, existing authors don't pay the $20 fee, so if you've already got the account, you don't need to worry about that $20 setup fee. And anyone earning $100 or more over that 12-month window won't have to pay the annual fee. Okay, well, plenty of people are reading this change the wrong way, so let's clear that up first. First off, Draft2Digital is not charging every account holder $20. That fee only applies to new accounts. The bigger concern for current users is the $12 annual maintenance fee, and even that only hits if your net proceeds stay under $100 for the preceding 12 months. Draft2Digital says this move is tied to rising compliance, security, and infrastructure costs, along with a surge in automated and low-quality account creation. Now, about a month ago, we already had a warning that this was heading in a bad direction. Draft2Digital CEO Chris Austin had been sounding the alarm over the flood of low-quality, mass-produced nonfiction clogging up the pipeline, and that pressure doesn't stay invisible forever here, folks. So no, I do not think this came from out of nowhere. A bigger industry abuse problem has been building for a while now, and Draft2Digital just finally responded. Now, let me make one thing clear. Low-selling authors aren't the problem. Plenty of authors use Draft2Digital the right way. They publish a small catalog, sell modestly, and do no harm at all. The real problem is the volume abuse from bad actors who flood platforms with junk, loophole-driven uploads and low-quality mass-produced books. That kind of abuse creates costs, slows systems down, and ends up hurting everybody else. This fee change is frustrating, but the deeper issue is bigger than Draft2Digital. Authors should avoid panic deleting accounts without checking the facts first. Go into your account status page and see where you stand. You may already be over the $100 threshold and not even realize it. Find out when your account anniversary date lands. That's super important because when you see when your anniversary date is, you'll be able to know when the bill is going to be due for the $12, or if at all. Now, read the updated terms of service while you're at it because D2D also added language around the inactive accounts being subject to closure after 12 months without login and around ceasing distribution or withholding royalties in certain circumstances. So that means that, sure, you can keep your account open and maybe you can delist your books so you can, avoid those yearly fees. But if you don't log in on a regular basis, you're going to lose that. And so if you come back to Draft2Digital later on, you're going to have to fork up to $20. You might as well go ahead and just keep it open. But there is a far wider pattern showing up here, folks. Think about it. Publish Drive tightened its free plan earlier this year and now limits new free accounts to Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo, while access to additional retailers requires the paid plan. Their stated reason was fraud activity slowing down distribution across the industry. That sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? Now, Ingram Spark moved in a different direction, but the press here still shows there as well. Uploads are free, and the company now lists account sign-up and title upload as costing nothing. But the market access fee rose from 1% to 1.875% per sale. That raises a fair question. Does Ingram Spark simply have better systems in place, or are they feeling the same pressure and just solving it in a different way for right now? I don't know. Anger alone isn't going to fix this growing problem. Draft2Digital is a smaller company, not a massive online giant with endless cash to burn. Their support staff and entire company can't continue to function as it was because it's clear that things were getting real bleak when D2D blocked dozens of nonfiction categories for publishing on their platform. Authors have every right to be upset, especially if money's tight. But outrage without ideas gets us nowhere. A better conversation should consider, what's a smarter solution? Higher commissions on low volume accounts? A subscription model? Better vetting? Tighter approval systems? Some other middle ground? So before anybody torches Draft2Digital and storms for the exits, pause for a second and think bigger. What would you do if D2D were your business? I want to hear from you. All right, moving a little further forward, it's not better news, but Barnes & Noble Press is tightening things up in a big way. Starting April 22nd, 2026, new print listings can no longer be priced below $14.99. Then on May 14th, 2026, Barnes & Noble Press will remove any existing print titles sitting below that $14.99 threshold. And on top of that, Barnes & Noble Press is capping accounts at 100 individual titles, and going forward, they are no longer allowing public domain content on the platform. The biggest story here is the new print price floor. If your print book is under $14.99, Barnes & Noble Press is basically telling you this is no longer the platform for that book. Now, I suspect this comes down to print economics. At some point, low-price print books stop making sense for the company fulfilling them. You still have the printer, the ink, the labor, the packing, the shipping, the overhead, and all the moving parts that go into handling a physical book at a print-on-demand company. If the margin is too thin, that model starts to break down fast. Now, I'm not just pulling this out of thin air either. KDP already moved in a similar direction on print royalties last year. Amazon now pays either a 50% or 60% royalty on print books based on the list price. The lower 50% rate applies to books at or below $9.98. The 60% royalty kicks in at $9.99 and above. In other words, we've already seen one major print platform signal that cheap print books come with tighter economics. The 100 title cap is the other big tell. Barnes & Noble Press didn't come right out and say this is about spammy or abusive publishing behavior, so I'm not going to present that as fact, but I want you to think about it. It really does make me wonder. A cap like that feels like a clean house move, and honestly, I think it's a smart one. If somebody wants to publish more than 100 titles through one account, they now need to reach out and have that conversation with Barnes & Noble Press. That part matters because most normal authors are never going to hit 100 titles anyway. The people most likely to feel that limit are the ones pumping huge volumes through the system. So while the $14.99 minimum is going to hit some legitimate authors, especially people with the lower price print projects, the title cap feels more like Barnes & Noble Press trying to protect the platform from abuse. Sound like something similar? Public domain getting removed is the smaller side note here. That's a housekeeping change more than anything else. The real impact for most indie authors is still the print price floor and the account cap. Something to kind of keep in mind. Moving a little further forward, coming from the fine folks over in the UK. The UK-based print-on-demand company Bookvault says shipping prices may increase in the coming days due to the annual carrier price hikes, rising fuel costs, and new surcharges across shipping networks. They shared in a recent newsletter how they tried to absorb those costs for a while, but now they need to pass along part of that increase. The good news is this sounds temporary, and Bookvault says they'll keep reviewing rates and lower them again when they can. Now, I'll be covering Bookvault in a deep dive review in the next week on my main YouTube channel. Look that up. I ordered a ton of print options over the past year, including special edition books with gold foil covers, ribbon bookmarks, sprayed edges, and slip cases for box sets. So stay tuned for that. Moving a little further forward from the fine folks over at the Alliance of Independent Authors, they recently hosted a podcast with Michael Ronn and Sacha about what to do if Amazon closes your KDP account. Now, their advice was very practical and worth hearing, especially because this keeps happening to more authors and account holders than it should. If your KDP account gets shut down, something I've said so many times, and you believe it was a mistake, don't panic, don't give up. Keep appealing and asking Amazon to escalate the case. Start pulling together everything you have, including screenshots, emails, account history, and a clear timeline of what happened. That part matters because if you ever do get an Amazon rep to review the case, you want the full paper trail ready to go. Now, ALLi also shared that they may be able to advocate for members in some cases. They made no promises, but they do have relationships in the industry and can sometimes help push a case forward when an author's stuck. They also mentioned that this kind of support may apply to other publishing account issues too. I think Google is the one, not just Amazon. So if this ever happens to you, the play is simple. Document everything, stay calm, keep appealing, and don't roll over if you believe the account closure was a mistake. This happens quite a bit on KDP. And if you want to learn more about becoming a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors and some of the perks involved, visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/ALLi. Moving over into another update here. The book review exchange platform Get Authentic Book Reviews recently sent out an update that lines up with what Book Bounty warned about last week in the news segment. Amazon review approvals are taking longer, sometimes 20 days or more, and even then, some reviews still are not getting the verified badge. Because of that, Get Authentic Book Reviews says they will no longer auto-cancel review requests before 20 days have passed. The best practices still remain the same. Slow down. Read naturally, and don't game the system. If review activity starts looking unnatural, everybody loses. These platforms work best when authors use them, responsibly, and build reviews at a steady, believable pace over time. This is all the information that we went over last week, and I'm hitting it again so that way anybody's using this. And one other thing here, right off the top of my head, I want to mention is don't use multiple book review exchange platforms. Go with one, because that keeps you protected. When you start to spread yourself out to multiple book review exchange platforms, you are stepping outside the safety of being protected from having a direct review exchange. And that's the problem, is because Amazon's going to view that as bias. And then that review is going to be removed, and you might be held in violation of community guidelines. So pick one service, stick to the one service. I've talked about a number of these ones before. Doesn't mean that you should use all of them. Do one and be done with it. Alrighty, time for the rapid fire news flash, folks. Is a quick roundup of headlines hitting the self-publishing world this week. And the first one comes from Apple Books for Authors. They have a few updates worth noting. Apple now accepts the 2025 BISAC subject headings, or Book Industry Standard and Communications Code, essentially is what it is. Bulgaria now uses the euro instead of the lei for Apple Books transactions, and any Russian language books sold in Latvia now need to be properly confirmed inside iTunes Connect. Writer Beware shared a fresh update on the Anthropic copyright settlement. The claims deadline passed, the fairness hearing is set for May 14th, and payouts are still not expected anytime soon while the court works through objections, fees, and of course, final approval. The fine folks over at one of my favorite cover design companies, GetCovers, recently shared 10 tips for designing a business book cover that sells. If you're making your own cover or hiring a pro, this is a solid piece for understanding what makes a nonfiction cover look clear, useful, and marketable at a quick glance. Good buddy of mine, Bradley Charbonneau, he's a YouTuber as well, recently featured a romance author, Lainey Davis, in a great conversation about how fiction authors can make money on YouTube without selling books directly. Now, if you've ever wondered if YouTube is right for your fiction brand, this is worth a watch. Heck, I can even make the bold claim, give it a look even if you're a nonfiction author, but this leans heavily in fiction, so you'll probably be able to see it. It's really good, actually. I was very insightful. It's almost like a fly on the wall of a fun little conversation rather than just an interview. Big shout out to Bradley, by the way. He's my boy. So make sure that you go over, give him some love, hit the subscribe on his YouTube, and hit the thumbs up. I think he and I were talking about doing some collaborations soon. And moving a little further forward, my book, Email Marketing for Authors, just picked up its second award, this time from the 2026 American Legacy Awards in the Business, Writing, and Publishing category. If you want to check it out, you can grab a copy at dalelinks.com/emailbook. Now, speaking of email marketing, yesterday I had the pleasure of guest speaking for Indie Author Magazine in their free webinar series for authors. Now, in my hour-long talk, you'll pick up keen insights and tips to start and elevate your brand with an email newsletter. The replay will be up by next week from what they were saying. They were hoping to have it up by the weekend, but we will certainly see how that plays out. It's free. You can't beat that, right? And special thanks to Dibbly Create for sponsoring this podcast. Their design studio has turned into my favorite thing lately because it makes cover designs, A+ content, social media graphics, and more way easier to put together in one place. Take a look at dalelinks.com/Dibbly Create. That's all I have for this week's self-publishing news. What do you think about some of the latest updates? Did I miss anything? Hit me up on Discord and let's talk about it when you visit dalelinks.com/Discord. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll catch you next week. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.